companies will just continue to get wealthier. Exactly. You helped introduce H.R. 676, the United States National Health Insurance Act. Would you please tell us what that is, how that's going to work?
Sure. I'm the co-author of the bill that will create a national health care system which takes the private for-profit health insurers out of the equation. Mm-hmm. On the drive over to the studio, I saw a lot of automobile show places that, you know, these automobile companies make money selling cars. We saw a number of grocery stores. They make money selling produce. Some shoe stores. Shoe stores make money selling shoes. Insurance companies make money not providing health care, okay? And that's why we need to change this system to a not-for-profit system where there's no more premiums, no more copays, no more deductibles. I'm the only candidate running for president who's talking about challenging these insurance companies by getting them out of the picture so that we can have, the people of this country can have care, and we won't have one out of every $3 going for the for-profit system. All the other candidates, two of the other candidates, Senator Edwards, Senator Clinton, are talking about a plan that's very similar to Governor Schwarzenegger's, and their plan will provide for individual mandates. In other words, you'll have to buy insurance. You have to buy private insurance, which means the same problem. People at the mercy of the insurance companies, premiums, copays, deductibles. People are going broke with this system. Sure. Half the bankruptcies in America are directly connected to people not being able to pay the costs of their doctor bills because they're underinsured. So it doesn't matter what kind of wealth you have, how well you've provided for your family's economic security. One illness can change it all. That's why the plan that I'm talking about is the only plan that works. Every other industrialized nation in the world recognizes that health care is a basic right in a democratic society. So I'm leading the way in health care in this presidential race, just as I'm leading the way for peace.
You seem to be in a situation where you're the only candidate who's speaking out on so many different subjects. I lived most of my adult life in Cleveland, so I'm very familiar with your political career. And something that I've always admired very much about you is your outspokenness and your willingness to say exactly what you think. As far back as when you were mayor and you were sort of in a battle with the Cleveland Plain Dealer about the sale of Muni Light, which, by the way, Congressman Kucinich was right about. Whether or not it's always politically expedient, you say what you think. Other candidates, I think, and I think the American people recognize this and are sick of it. They finesse their answers. There's a lot of political maneuvering going on. Do the people in your campaign, and you, Elizabeth, sometimes do you say, Dennis, you kind of need to soften your stance on that a little bit, or you can't really come right out and say this?
Why would Dennis ever need to compromise what he's saying when he's speaking the truth? I mean, if he had softened his stance on going to war in Iraq, if he had voted yes instead of no, he would have been wrong. And he would have misled his district and he would have misled the country in that decision. If he softened his stand and stood away from the majority of the American people and said, all right, I'll throw in my hat, it's okay, let's keep the for-profit system going, come on, hand me the benefits for health care. I mean, no. We're here because we stand together, and Dennis particularly, for the people of America. There is no compromise. There doesn't need to be that kind of compromise. You don't go to a negotiating table having given away all your chips before going there.
You know, this is one of the things about this election, and that is that candidates for president, I'll be quite specific, and because we're all friends, Senator Clinton, Senator Edwards, Senator Obama, have already said, look, they can't take on that battle with the private insurance companies. It's just too big. So think about it. You want to be president of the United States, and you're already telling one of the most powerful interests in America, don't worry about it, it's okay, not going to bother you. With so many people hurting in this country, how in the world can anyone claim to want the power of the presidency for the people when you're already capitulating to the insurance companies? I mean, how does that type of thinking reflect in dealing with the oil companies, in dealing with monopolies in agriculture and energy and in health and every area? So what I'm talking about is really reclaiming the country. And these other candidates, for whatever reason, aren't up to that kind of a challenge. Well, I am. With 40 years of involvement in public life, having taken on challenges in the past, I'm ready, and I'm ready to do that on behalf of the American people.
Well, that's very refreshing to find a politician who says what he means.
But there's also an expression that one of our friends said to us the other day, that energy doesn't lie, people do. And when people really experience the interaction and the energy of a situation, I say this quite candidly, I sit in the front row of these debates and I listen to every word and I watch every body movement and I feel the energy that's around. And there's one person who speaks the truth. And there's one person who stands for everything that people want in this election. A universal single-payer, not-for-profit healthcare system. An end of the war in Iraq, and a true stabilization process for the Iraqi people. Changing trade, NAFTA. Standing up and saying, look, this is the way it is. The WTO says anything that you rewrite as an amendment to a trade agreement to include workers' rights, human rights and environmental quality principles is WTO illegal. So all the other candidates, when they go a brush-off statement, well, of course, you know, we'll add these things to the existing agreements, are forgetting to tell the American people that you can't do that while you're still a member of the WTO. So Dennis stands for the cancelling of NAFTA and withdrawal from the WTO so we can truly rewrite our trade agreements based on workers' rights, human rights, environmental quality principles, helping the American industries and the industries all around the world and the people in those countries and in our country to lift up, using trade as that mechanism to lift people out of poverty instead of suppressing them and pushing them into it, because our trade agreements are structurally unjust and inequitable. So we as in America can really lead on that. We can really take America into this leading role where we lead for sustainability, we lead against poverty, we lead for prosperity, but very simply we can do it with our policies that we've got here existing already.
Well, I could sit and talk to you all afternoon. Unfortunately, we're a little pressed for time, so I do have two citizen activists with me today. Cindy Piester was born on August 6, 1945, the same day the U.S. dropped the world's first nuclear weapon on Hiroshima, an event Cindy says has strongly impacted her life. She has raised two children while working as a mental health professional, is married to a Vietnam veteran, and was recently arrested for nonviolent, peaceful civil disobedience, calling for accountability of the Bush administration in regards to the war in Iraq. She has now started the Citizens for Impeachment group in Ventura. Welcome, Cindy.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your being here, Dennis, and I appreciate all of you for putting this show together. It's wonderful that you've done that. Thank you. Dennis, I was able to go to the march in Washington last weekend, and with good fortune, my paths crossed with former Attorney General Ramsey Clark. And Ramsey has said that the Bush administration is falling apart from their own hubris. And he's also said that the Congress can be moved to call for impeachment. Thank you so much for the courage and the foresight to oppose the war in the beginning, and then to enter H.R. 333, calling for the impeachment of Dick Cheney for high crimes and misdemeanors. My question to you is, what do the American people stand to lose if Dick Cheney is not held accountable and President Bush are not held accountable for these crimes, and we set this precedent for the next president of the United States? What do we stand to lose?
Go back to the Declaration of Independence, where we mutually pledged each other through our founders, our lives, our fortunes, our sacred honor. That's what we stand to lose. We stand to lose everything this nation stands for. When the highest people are not held accountable to the highest standards, then what we lose is the Constitution, we lose our sense of self-government, and we lose our nation. And so, of course, Mr. Cheney should be impeached and removed from office, as should President Bush. It's very important for us to stand for the truth. The truth is the only thing that can hold this country together, and as someone who plans on being the next president, when I raise that oath of office, it's to truth, it's to the honor of this country, it's to the lives of the people of this country, and it's to our fortunes and sacred honor.
We have another one of your supporters with us who I'm sure has a question for you. Stephen Longfellow